Okay, cool. Please raise your hands if you've ever read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Cool. I am impressed that it's this many, but it's not everyone. It's not even close to everyone. It's not even like a half or a quarter. It's very few people, but more than I expected, so that's good. I first read The Art of War, which is what this lecture is about, back in 8th grade, and it completely changed the way that I thought about debate. In my first year, I went to camps like this one. I figured out a lot of the essentials. I did a lot of tournaments, but reading The Art of War really enlightened me to the strategy that goes behind every decision. And even though the book is about war, it applies so well to debate and strategic thinking and any kind of argumentation you can possibly come up with. So I want to share some of the principles. They're pretty basic principles. I'm sure that a lot of you will have heard some of them already. But it's just going to be a little teaser about what the book is. I encourage all of you to go read it. I kept a copy of it next to my bedside table. I highlighted it and read it all the time before every tournament because it's just such great strategy advice. The copy that I personally bought had a really great foreword about a story that I very much enjoyed, so I'm going to tell you guys the story. It was about how Sun Tzu became a well-respected Chinese general, creating war strategy, creating troop training programs in order to help figure out how he can win more wars through strategic thinking. He created all these principles. He created all these ideas. He was buying it. And so one time he went to the leader of China and he said, I have all these great ideas. Why is no one listening to me? And he said, your ideas are kind of unorthodox. Prove to me that they work. So he said, if you claim you can turn an army, you can create an army out of anything. You say that you can make sure an army wins. I'm going to give you the hardest challenge of all. Try to make my wives. Kid you not. This is how it is documented. So Sun Tzu, all of his wives said, if you can make them march and stop, and if you can get these weak parents to behave, I will rest of the armies. How did he do that? Spoiler alert, he does succeed in the end. But how did he do it? Does anybody know? Yes?
He gave them swords and told them, illustrated what he wanted them to do, and told them to do it. And when they didn't do it, he killed 2 of them.
Yes. When they didn't follow his orders, he killed 2 of them. Why did he do that? To show that he was serious. He knew the emperor would be mad, but he had such confidence in his ability to do what he was doing that he was willing to take risks. And even though he killed his wives, since it worked so well, impressed anything about it. It's a really terrible. Do not do what this. The first of 5 principles that you'll see from The Art of War, which is fake it till you make it. Sun Tzu, point in case. When he wasn't sure he could do something, he acted confident. He took risks. He made decisions. And that same thing applies to debate. Sun Tzu once wrote in The Art of War, the difference between victorious warriors and defeated warriors is only this. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, where defeated warriors go to war and then seek to win. Fake it till you make it is the first principle that I used to see it, that I wiped off this entire board so I could write down. Fake it till you make it. How does this apply to debate? This apply to debate. I once knew 2 debaters. The first debater, anytime he wasn't sure how to respond to an argument, he would very humbly come up to the podium and say, that's a good point that they brought up. I can't believe I didn't think of that before. I'm not really sure what to say against that. Moving on. Every single time. I knew another debater who anytime she got nervous about winning, she would go up to the podium and say that she succeeded the round, that she didn't think that she could win, and that the judge should just vote for the other person. As early as her first speech, she would start to say that. Don't do this. Even if you feel like you are completely lost, even if you don't know what you're doing, the judge doesn't know that until you start to show that. Fake it till you make it. Have confidence in yourself. Win first and then go to war. And you will find something to argue, and you will find a way. There is no such thing as a perfect argument. Everything is defeatable. The second principle, choose your battles. Choose your battles. Someone once told me that in debate, they don't really have a lot of options. They only have to run whatever they can think of. This is absolutely not true. There's always different arguments you can run. Anyone who has researched a topic thoroughly understands there are at least 20 different ways to approach every single topic. And Sun Tzu recognized this about war. He said that he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Choose only the arguments that actually matter. As Benji puts it so often, ask yourself before you run an argument, will this win me the round? And if the answer is no, don't run it. If it does win you the round, you need to show that. Sun Tzu made it a point. Whenever he chose battles correctly and he won, he would publish it all across the world. He would use his standing armies and his confident troops, and he would show the world what he was doing to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies even before he ever came across them. If you know you're winning, that should come out. You should tell the judge. One of my earlier coaches once told me, the person will win the ballot who asks for it. Third principle. I marked this on my little notepad as intentional holes, but that's not really what this is about. It's about strategic planning, strategic placement of arguments. So I'm going to write it as strategic placement. What does that mean? A lot of debaters, especially in team policy, I see this. They feel like if they're going to win something, they have to win it right away. They speed throughout their entire 1AC. They put all their best arguments right up front. But that's not always what you want to do. I know a lot of judges who say that they feel overwhelmed after the 1AC because they can't take it all in. And a lot of judges who say that they don't really see a lot of clash because everything that needed to be said was said in the first speech. And after that, debaters just repeat their arguments. Sun Tzu has a fantastic quote that says, appear weak where you are strong, appear strong where you are weak, because the art of war is all about information. One of my other coaches, I quoted that to the coaches yesterday, and they asked me, why on earth would you want to appear weak when you were strong? That doesn't make any sense at all. Well, with the LDers, I was just talking about strategic definitions, how sometimes when you have a strategy, you don't need to spell it out right away. You need to wait for it to impact the round before you bring it up. Sometimes you want to use a definition in a later speech, in the last speech possibly. You want to wait until it really is going to win you the round. Same thing in cross-examination. You don't ask the question too many. You don't ask your opponent to agree with you right away. You want to lead them up a trail as far as you can go without them realizing what you're doing. You want to appear strong where you are weak. Cover up your bad arguments. But also sometimes it's necessary to appear weak where you are strong. Don't let your opponent see the upper hand until it's too late for them to do anything about it. This is really in-depth strategy that you should think through when you're looking at your case. The best way to do this alone without a club, and the way that I used to do it throughout my years, is always to argue against myself. Whenever you create a 1AC, always think to yourself, what would I say against this? A lot of times debaters feel like they need to plug all the holes right away. The opposition can argue against my value, therefore I need to change it. The person that I quote wrote a different paper about a different topic that was uncredible at one point, therefore I need to change him. That's not necessarily always the case. The best way to see which arguments matter and which arguments don't is what you would personally run against yourself. Then prep for that strategy. Figure out what you would say in your 1AR after you ran your negative strategy against yourself. Go through the entire round in your head trying to figure out what you would do.